Hello, and welcome back to Marriage Sensation. We are a marriage ministry out of New Life at Calvary Church on East 79th and Euclid Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm Katy Glenn.
And I'm Walter Glenn.
And we're so glad to have you back. This week we're going to be talking about what a husband is looking for in a wife.
Amen.
And that's so important because it will carry you throughout your whole relationship. And basically, it's what traits he wants to see in his wife.
Yeah. It's based on, we listen to a morning talk show host on WCRF, a Christian radio station in Cleveland, Ohio, and they have a morning team of Brian and Janelle, and they were talking about this subject. They were talking about, an article came out in a newspaper, and it was a very shallow article. They didn't really like what the article had to say in terms of what a man is looking for in his wife. So Janelle, who's the woman of that team, Brian and Janelle, she came up with 5 things that she thinks that a man is looking for in a wife. And so we're going to go with her 5, but then we might add 1 or 2 more at the end. So Katy, you going to go through her 5?
Okay. The first one was that he wants her to desire him.
Yes.
Not only a physical attraction, but a sexual attraction, as well as an emotional attraction. What do you think about that?
I agree. I mean, I think everybody, whether you're a man or a woman, you want to be desirable to your mate.
Right.
You want to feel like your mate desires you. And it's not always sexual, but it can be. And that's a good thing as well. But it's good when your mate desires you emotionally. What admires you for your thoughts and your wisdom,
the way our minds work,
the way your minds work, the way you conduct yourself, your decision making. I think it's just good when a person desires you. They desire your company.
Right, exactly. I was just going to say they want you around them.
Yeah.
They want to have that, contact with you.
Yeah, I think when they desire your presence, and they value your presence, when you're around, instead of having the TV on all the time or looking at the phone, they're engaging you in conversation or the day's events. How was your day? Asking questions.
Right.
I think that's part of desiring a person. I think that's part of being connected to that person at a very intimate and deep level.
And another area is initiative. Now, I think a lot of times we women don't initiate any type of contact with our spouse, and not just sexually, but in other areas as well, like initiating a romantic weekend or planning things like that. Sometimes we don't do that. We don't think about it. But being the initiator just really sparks up your relationship, because usually the man is always, I guess that's how it's been forever. The man asks you out for a date, and then, he pays for the dinner, and then this, that, and the other. And then we women usually just accept that because that's just has been the norm. But we want to change that into where we become a little bit more aggressive and start things off more so than
I think
the man.
Katy, a guy likes when he's pursued sometimes. I think that's kind of fun as a guy, because as you said, the norm is that you're always the one doing the asking. Can I have your hand in marriage?
You're the
Can
one
I do
chasing,
this? You're the one.
Right.
And it's nice when you come home and your wife has the evening set up. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to plan it. Okay, hey, here's what I like to do tonight. Okay, I hear you. I see that. I have, and let's not take out the romantic part of it either.
Right.
I mean, I have been thrilled sometimes when I've come home from a long day's work, and here's my wife in a nightgown. Now, I know that might sound sexist to some people, but it's exciting. It's out of the norm. It's not like it happens every night, but it's nice to have those type of surprises, and it shows me that she's interested, she's engaged, and that she's not waiting on me for everything to happen. I like the initiative.
It's a good thing, women. We need to start taking the initiative in terms of our relationships. So that'll be great. The second one is a husband is looking for a wife who has confidence.
Yes.
Not only in herself, but in the relationship and in her husband. He wants someone who, can help take care of the business, can take on challenges or new tasks that come down the pike. One who is, confident in raising children, although we're both learning at the same time. Really, when you first have kids, you really don't know what you're doing, but you kind of grow into that. They want a woman who understands the big picture of your goals in your marriage, in your life. They want someone who has a grasp on that. And they also, if the woman is working, which most of us do, that they can navigate in the work environment. They can handle themselves in their work environments, and usually that does happen because you're confident in what you know and what you've been trained to do, and so that confidence is there.
Yeah, and I'm going to add the word competent as well. Not just I like the fact that you were confident in yourself. You weren't arrogant, but you were confident. But you were also competent. And where that showed up is, when you would come home, my wife had a pretty challenging job at Cleveland State University, and she would come home and she would say, well, this happened. Now, a guy, we're fixers, and we tend to listen to a situation and we're ready to fix the situation. But that's not what she wanted. She wanted me to just listen to the situation. She didn't want me to fix it because she was competent enough and she was confident enough in her own ability that she could navigate that environment there and she could fix this situation. And if she did need my help, she would ask for it. She would say, okay, what do you think about this, or how would you handle this? That was my cue to give my 2 cents about how I would deal with it. But mostly she just wanted me to listen because I had confidence in her that she would be able to resolve whatever that issue was on her job.
Right. Another area of confidence is not being afraid to voice your own opinion on different situations that come up. Not be afraid to say what's on your mind or what's on your heart or what you think about something. And so that's very important. That just brings a freedom for the both of you. And you get to learn about each other even better that way.
I think every man that marries a woman, deep down inside, whether he'll admit it or not, he wants her to have her voice. That she has her own voice in this relationship. That she's not, I don't think most men are looking for doormats that they can just kind of walk over or, rule over or lord over. I think men, because the one thing that most men realize is that not only do I have an opinion, but she has an opinion as well, and her opinion sometimes is the more valid opinion, and it's the opinion that we really need to go with because of the fact that she's more competent in that area, and she's better able to resolve whatever that conflict is or whatever that situation is. So, I think if you're a man that's really comfortable with the fact that you have an intelligent, confident woman, you're way ahead. You are way ahead.
Yes, and it just makes the relationship stronger.
Much stronger.
You both can depend on each other.
Yeah.
Another area was trust. And that is are you a reliable person? Are you a dependable person? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Are you going to be confident in what you're doing or what you're saying? Can you handle the hard things in life that come down? Maybe some tough decision that you have to make, and your husband trusts that you would make the right decision, and if it's just something that you have to do yourself.
Yeah, let me jump in here, honey.
Yeah.
I think sometimes as a man, and this happened very early on in our marriage, maybe the first 10 years, I found myself with the hard things that were coming down the pipe, with the hard things that were coming into our lives, okay? It might be a situation, for instance, like you knew on your job that your job situation was getting a little bit precarious. And, you saw some change in the wind in terms of your employment. and you know, you didn't, you know, as a guy, you're always trying to filter or think about what should I say in certain situations that won't worry my wife or panic her, but by the same token, I want to give her enough information that she can make informed decisions about you know, how we're going to go forward. And so I think there was always that tension with me, and then I realized something that I should have realized a whole long time ago, that my wife is the type of person that she can handle the hard things that come around. I can be very honest with her about those hard things and say, yeah, I'm worried about my job right now because things aren't going well there. And she could come up with some options, because when I don't tell her, I'm limiting her ability to not only not handle the situation, but to give me valuable feedback about how she feels.
Yeah, you want my perspective.
Yeah, what's your perspective?
My perspective in
what
that
should I do?
situation.
What would you do in that situation, you know? And so I think that our attempts to shield, while our motives may be good, they can become, it can be disastrous in a marriage, because this person is just as competent to handle the hard things as we kind of act like they're so fragile sometimes, at least I did, and that really, the longer I was married to my wife, the more I realized that she is a very strong, capable, tough woman who can handle those hard things that come down.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that kind of
that's
grows.
Trust. That's trust.
It's trust, and it just grows and grows and grows as you're going through different situations in your marriage. And
obviously, trust has to do with issues of fidelity, all kinds of issues, that I can trust you.
Right. Even with money. You
yes.
know, that's part of it too.
That's a huge part of it, that we can trust each other, that, you know, you're not going to come home one day and there's going to be a boat sitting in the driveway and, well, I just felt like getting a boat today, honey, and no, those are things we need to talk about.
Right.
And I have to trust her that when I come home, that there's not 19 packages on the front porch from Amazon, and, you know, and it's not Christmas. And so we have to trust each other with money. We have to trust each other with every day we're faced with thousands of decisions, and we have to trust each other that this person I married is going to make the best decision possible based on the information they have with that situation. And it's a trust factor.
It is. And it just grows and grows as you stay married and you go through different situations. Okay, let's see. Number 4 was accept him for who he is. Now that's a good one, because usually, and I know this for most women, is that when we marry someone and we think that we are going to change him.
We can rebuild him. We can, the $6 million man, we can change him.
And I remember my father telling me when I got married that, you know, you can't change him. That he's gonna, you know, be the way he is, whatever little traits or whatever, that's going to be there.
Thanks, Dad.
You're just going to have to work with it, you know.
Well, and I think men do the same thing too, though. In all honesty, we think that we can change the woman. We have to be honest about that, and we think that we can change some character traits that we might not necessarily be fond of. Right.
And one thing, you know, what we're not going to accept is inappropriate behavior.
Right.
That will just destroy your relationship.
Right. When you talk about acceptance, we're not talking about accepting behavior that is totally out of line with marriage and inappropriate. We're not talking about that. We're talking about behaviors that are, maybe aggravating, maybe a little bit, like I said, you may not be fond of them, but that person's probably not going to change. You know, in our relationship, I tend to be the one that takes the most time getting ready. And so, I'm probably going to be later getting out the door than she is. And she's come to, well, I don't really like that, but I'll accept that. I tend to run later than she does in certain situations, most situations. And so, that's something you accept. You work on it, and I try to improve with it, and she encourages me and challenges me to improve, but she's not going to divorce me or get rid of me because
Right.
that's something she can't accept. That's something that she's learned that, okay, he's wired that way.
And we have to accept both strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
And we work together through both of those to make the relationship stronger. I remember one lesson we did many, many years ago where you needed to look at the best in your
Yes.
spouse. Look at the best in your spouse. Don't be critical or, always complaining about things, but look for the best that's in your spouse, because this is who God has put you together with. And so you need to be happy with that choice that you made.
Well, and I think I remember that study we did, and it said for every 7 positive things you say, you might say a negative thing, or there might be a critique, but for every critique, there needs to be 7 positive things that are
Right,
said.
right.
That should be the ratio. It should be really seeking the best in your spouse,
Right.
trying to bring out the best. That brings out the best in me. Some people are motivated by, I don't know, when I played sports, I was motivated by criticism. The coach would say, you better do a better job tackling, or you better do a better job with this. Now that motivates some people, but that devastates other people. So I mean, it's really, I think most of us function on affirmation, and we function on hearing positive feedback from our performances instead of the negative. Now the negative it's appropriate sometime, but we should be doing a lot more positive feedback than negative.
Right. So another thing is that we want to accept him the way he wants to accept her the way she is, and just work through some issues. Talk about some issues that may come up, but always try and keep a positive perspective.
Yeah, there's certain things about my wife that I know that they're easy to accept. I mean, when you said accept the good with the bad, that's part of the marriage vow. For
Right.
richer, for poorer, that's the poorer part. Accepting some things that
Right.
maybe I might not want to deal with. But there's also traits about you. I know when we go to places, my wife will stop somebody, a total stranger, and she'll say, "Oh, I love your nails," or "I love your hair," and I'm looking on the sideline like, you don't know how this person's going to react. You don't know if they're a people person. You don't know if they even like people. But my wife will do that. She's willing to compliment other women on anything that's positive. "Oh, you're dressed. You look so nice today," and so I think that now, me personally, I find that hard to do, but I've accepted the fact that my wife loves to do that. That's part of her DNA. That's part of who she is. She's wired that way.
Right.
And so it's not a bad thing. Okay, so a lot of things that we have to accept, they're not bad traits. They're good traits.
Right.
But they're just not the traits that we have.
Right. And we want to just look at them and see if there's a way we can just, work things out.
Yes.
When things don't work out.
Acceptance
too good.
is huge.
Acceptance is very huge.
I work at a Christian high school, and we have a middle school attached to our high school, and the number one thing that young people want is acceptance.
Right.
It trumps everything. They want to be accepted by their peers and by their teachers and by their parents. It's the acceptance factor.
So that's very important. Our last area is that a husband looks for a wife who appreciates him.
Oh yeah.
And so often I think we kind of skip that when we're talking to each other or when we're doing things. And what we need to do is to make sure that we thank him for what he's doing. We thank him for anything that we're acknowledging his effort for whatever he's doing within the house, with the chores, if they're the money person, going to work, helping with the kids. We have to show appreciation.
And you might say
that means so much.
You might say that all those are normal things. You're supposed to go to work. Yes, you are as a man. You're supposed to go to work in most cases, but it's still good to be appreciated for it.
Right. It's so good to be thanked for just doing little things. Just the little things around the house, or just simple things that shows that you do appreciate what he's doing, and that can just go so far in your relationship. it just, like you said, it just kind of pumps you up.
Well, when you look at our relationship with God, God inherits the praise of His people.
Right.
That's that God likes to be.
He loves that.
Yeah, God likes to say, "Hey," I mean, and God likes for us to praise Him, and He likes for us to acknowledge Him and to acknowledge that He's God and we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And so even God has that level of the affirmation factor.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need it. God doesn't need
Right.
it, but he likes to see His people praise Him.
Mm-hmm. So that appreciation just means so much, and we also have to remember what our spouse's love language is, and we need to speak that constantly, as often as we can. And and you can always add on, appreciation or just things that he does for you or what she does for you. Just show some appreciation. And we know that a lot of times in our jobs, if your supervisor comes and says, you're doing a really good job,
boy.
Just really lifts you up. So we can do the same thing for our spouses.
Yeah, I think we should. I think if we realize how much it does for us, or how meaningful it is for us to be appreciated, then we ought to extend that grace to the other person. I think that's huge in a marriage. I think as a man too, I would probably add to Janelle's list of what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a woman who really, really understands the big vision of what we're trying to accomplish as a couple. That sees that latches onto the vision, that has her own vision as well, where we can have a shared vision. I like teamwork within a marriage, so I like the fact that we work. That's one of our strengths, is that we work well as a team together, and we accomplish goals together. So I would add those things on. Well, today we talked about what men primarily need from their wives, or what men appreciate in a woman. Next week we're going to go a different route. We're going to be talking about, in our marriages, who tends to be the most satisfied, the husband or the wife? This will be a very interesting conversation, and it's sure to be a little bit, it's going to shake us up a little bit.
And also we'll put a little bit in there about what a wife is looking for in a husband as well.
Right, and how we sometimes can disappoint each other without meaning to do so.
Right.
It's not intentional. It's not meant to be. So until next time, we want your marriage to be sensational.